And now, a Buddy Check 13 reminder with News 13's Amy Hoyt.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to 13 Now. I'm News 13's Amy Hoyt, and we're coming to you live from our News 13 newsroom on Harrison Avenue. Today, as you know, is Buddy Check Day. It is the 13th of the month, where we remind you to check for lumps in your breast. And, of course, if you find anything, to see your doctor and get a mammogram if necessary. Each month, we bring you a different person, a different guest to share their experience and their story with breast cancer. And this month, we have a special guest. You may recognize her. She's a longtime resident. I'd like to introduce you to Cathi Ford. Cathi, it's good to have you with us today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it so much.
Now, you were recently diagnosed.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
It was during the holidays, probably November, December, and I got a call from my gynecologist, and he said, or the assistant called to remind me of my appointment. And because time flies so quickly, as you well know, I was like, oh, no, I just had it. I just had it a couple of months ago. And they said, no, it's been a year. And I said, well, it's the holidays. It's kind of crazy. Can we just postpone it? And luckily, she said no and said, it's been a year and you need to come in. So
you went in for that mammogram.
Yep, I sure did. And went to the doctor first. And he asked if I self-exam. And, of course, I thought of you.
I'm sorry.
But I thought, oh, God, Amy's going to be mad at me. But I don't, And he says, well, I kind of feel something. And are you getting a mammogram after this? And I said, sure. And I didn't think anything of it. I thought, oh, it's a calcium deposit or something because that's But I've never had any trouble in the past. Never had
and
any.
No family history.
None. No family history. No trouble at all. So I didn't even think twice.
So you go for the mammogram.
Right. Okay. Luckily, they have it in that same office, which was nice that same day. And they called immediately pretty much and said, you need to go get a sonogram, which is the next step.
Okay, before we move on, tell me something. Are they telling you it's a lump, that they think it's breast cancer? And what are you feeling at that moment?
Nothing. I'm not a worrier. God's got it under control. I just don't worry about things. And I truly thought that maybe it was a calcium deposit or just something that maybe they thought they saw and it just wasn't anything. So I really didn't think anything of it at that point. I thought, I've known a lot of women that go in for sonograms and other procedures when it's really nothing. So I wasn't thinking anything at the time, at that point.
And so you get a sonogram then,
right?
Is that right?
Right. Yeah. Went to the Bay Radiology and got a sonogram, and then the radiologist actually came in to talk to me, and she didn't even mention the word cancer, but she said, "Well, your next step is a biopsy." And again, she didn't say cancer, so I did. So I thought, oh, okay, I'm good. It's a calcium deposit. It's no big deal. So I didn't think twice. And then the only thing that got me concerned was either later that day or the next day, I got one call after the other, one from my regular doctor and one from my gynecologist. And so when I was talking to the gynecologist, he was like, I just wanted to say, I'm so sorry. We're here for you, And I was like,
why?
Why? and he was like, oh, well, you're positive for cancer. And I said, I have cancer.
Oh, mercy.
And so that's when I was like, oh, okay, this is a little disconcerting.
Do you get nervous at that point?
A little bit. But again, I knew it was in God's hands, so I wasn't too worried about it. I wanted to wait until, I don't like to get too freaked out until I know all the facts. So I just wanted to make sure that I had all the facts. So the next step was a biopsy.
And how do they do that?
They did it locally here. There's several places you can do it, but
right.
I opted for my general surgeon to do it.
Is it like they put a needle in and draw fluid out to test?
Yes.
Okay.
They actually clip a piece. They go in and clip a piece of the tumor, and then they test it to see if it has cancer cells on it.
Do they know right away?
No, it was a 2-week wait, and that was
must have felt like 2 years.
The worst. That was the worst part of it, really.
Now, how'd you share this with your family?
Well, and I'd kind of been letting them know along the way, like I'm going to get a sonogram. I'm going to get, so it was kind of step by step. But I think I just called, my husband called Tommy and said, you'll never guess what I just heard, from my gynecologist, and it was just shock. We were just in shock.
Sure, because it doesn't run in the family.
No, not at all.
And
not
the irony
at all.
is, every form you fill out says, is there a family history of
Right.
any cancer?
Right.
Because they need to know that.
Right.
Because it puts you at a higher risk.
Right.
But a lot of women have no family history.
None.
Okay, so now where do you go from there?
So after we get the results of the biopsy, then we have to determine, we need to get in touch with an oncologist and a surgeon. And so a really good friend of mine, Patty, she hooked me up immediately. She said, only if you want me to, I'm going to make some calls and try to see if you can get hooked up with Moffitt, which is in Tampa,
Right.
the cancer center in Tampa that we've heard great things about. And so we just kind of went from there and went to Moffitt, got appointments there. And long story short, we had a mammogram there and all sorts of tests done there. And it was decided that they gave me several options. They said you can have a mastectomy, then you won't have to have chemo or radiation. And that was my first thought. I thought, just take it off and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
But they kind of went over the specifics of that, and that it was kind of scary, as
Right.
far as that was concerned. A little more involved, obviously, than
Sure.
just a lumpectomy.
That's a major surgery.
So, right.
So when did you have the lumpectomy?
End of January, last day of January.
Okay, and the procedure is quick and easy? Were you there
It's
a couple days?
out.
or-
No, it's outpatient.
Oh.
Believe it or not. But the scar is fairly big. It was a fairly big tumor.
Really?
They would thought it was a little bit less, but when they went in, they discovered that it was bigger than they thought. And then they took lymph nodes. So I have another
check.
scar here to check with that. And luckily, I didn't have anything in the lymph nodes. So
What made you decide, though?
about the
double mastectomy or a
it's
single
versus
mastectomy?
versus
Lumpectomy.
lumpectomy. That was a tough one because again, I thought, let's just get it out. Then I won't have to worry about it at all. If I take it completely off, I'm not well endowed, so I didn't think I'd miss it that much. But I don't know. When I talked to the surgeon about the differences between the two, it just was an obvious choice that they felt like they could get it all with the lumpectomy, and it just seemed like a clearer choice
Right.
for me at the
For
time.
you.
Now, if it happens again, if I get another one, we may decide to go the other route.
Now, do you know what type of cancer it was? Because there's so many different types of breast
I
cancer.
do, and it's I always forget the name
I'm
of it.
sorry to
But
put you on the spot.
no, you're good.
Pardon me.
Receptor negative HR or HER2 positive invasive ductal carcinoma.
Wow. It's amazing how many different types.
It sounds crazy, but it's the one that if I were to get one, it's the lesser of all the evils.
Okay.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, thank goodness. Because you
Yeah.
look great.
Oh, thanks. I feel good.
All right. So at what point do you decide whether you need chemo or radiation?
Well,
or any of
at that point after the surgery is when they determine they have to do a lot more tests and a couple more blood tests and several things. And then and then, gosh, it was another 6 weeks, I think, before I went back to the oncologist to decide whether I needed chemo or not, which was also nerve-wracking. But I finally got there, and she said I did not need it, which was great. I do need radiation, and I'm in the middle of doing that now. Luckily, I have a good radiologist, oncologist here that because it's every day for 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, I have to go every day.
So you don't
So-
have to travel out of town.
Correct,
Okay.
which is nice.
All right. And you're still in the middle of that?
I am. I'm just finished up my first week.
Oh.
So I've got one down, 2 to go.
How does radiation feel? Do you feel anything?
Not at the time. Not at the time. It actually was surprising. What you're thinking. You're getting a little nervous, and you just don't know what to expect. But you go in and you lay down on a just like you would a mammogram. Really, you're just laying on a slab on a bed. It is hard. It's not a bed. It is not a bed.
There's no mattress.
No, there is not. And they make a type of mold where you hold your hands back like this, and so you're in the same mold every time you go, so that you'll be in the same exact position. And then they put it's a tattoo, 3 tattoos. They're little pin marks, but I had to call my daughter and say, guess what? I got a tattoo. I got 3 tattoos. So they can know where to pinpoint it right. And then it's just a big machine that kind of goes around you and over you, and then it makes a noise, and at that point is when they're shooting it in. But literally it takes about 4 minutes. I'm in and out in maybe 10 or 15.
Wow. And now, are they giving you radiation in the breast that did not have a lump?
No,
it's just
that one.
Left side.
It's very, very targeted, and it's just for that one breast on the right here. And I don't need any other protection or anything because it said it's not a scattering radiation. It just goes directly into where the spot is needed.
Okay, now obviously, you have a husband, Tommy Ford, who, if you're under a rock, that's the sheriff of Bay County. Everybody knows who he is. But you also have a beautiful young daughter in her 20s. Now, what does this mean for her? Does that change her outlook on breast cancer?
Well, it was interesting. I did talk to the oncologist about that, and we did take a genealogist test just to make sure that I wasn't, that she would not be predisposed to it. I also wanted to check for my sister Perry, and just to make sure, and luckily it is not hereditary. So they have said it's environmentally, something I ate or something in the air. Who knows?
Over the course of
years. They just don't know what it is, or they'd be able to cure it, obviously. But because I have it for my daughter, she's allowed to have 2 mammograms per year when she's able to start having mammograms, which I think is great.
Will she go earlier than 40?
For that. I don't think so. Okay. I think they don't say that she has to go earlier, but when she does start taking them 40 or whenever she starts going, she'll be able to, and insurance will have to pay for 2.
Wow. Okay.
Which is nice.
And now she's more aware of it.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
How did she react when you told her you had breast cancer?
I think she was upset. I felt horrible for her because she lives in Tallahassee, and so I couldn't be with her face to face. I like to, I would have been able to say it to her face, but I think she was working even at the time when I called her, because I didn't even know she was working at the time. I just called her, and told her, and she got upset, but I think she's been such a great support, and she's really fine, fine with it.
Well, I know that your faith is strong.
Yes.
Did that play a role in how you handle this?
A huge role. I mean, I a lot of people don't understand it, that I'm not more upset or that I didn't get more upset. I've not ever cried about it, to be honest with you. I'm just a firm believer that God has it in His control, and so why should I worry?
Well, they tell us we're not supposed to worry.
Nope, I don't.
Just give it to God, right?
Yeah, give it to God, absolutely, every day.
So what do you tell other women who may be newly diagnosed? What's the best advice?
Just get your support system in line. Make sure that you have a lot of really close family and friends that are able to talk to you, sit with you, just be with you if you have a question, or if you are the type of person that worries and cries, that you are able to call them. And support system is just such a huge thing for me. As far as where to go, when they're first diagnosed, I know it's so scary and unbelievable. It truly is unbelievable. You're kind of in a state of shock for a while. It took me a good 2 weeks to really let it sink in that, oh my gosh, and so give yourself that time to realize that, your emotions are going to change throughout the whole time, and do some research, find out, do you want to go to MD Anderson? Do you want to go to Moffitt? Do you want to stay here in Panama City? I'm not saying there's not good doctors here, but there's so many options, and it's good to ask questions. Call as many people as you can to say, where have you gone? Where have you been? What are your opinions? And then, and then get a notebook.
Write it down.
And get a notebook and log everything that you're doing, medications you're taking, operations that you've had before. Just start getting prepared because you're going to have to give this information to all the doctors over and over and over. So it's much easier to be able to keep a notebook, write down the doctor's names and numbers that you've been in touch with. It just makes it so much easier.
Right. Memory sometimes doesn't work.
Mine is nil.
Well, we're getting
I have none.
We talk about a support system, and you have a friend you brought with you. I wanted you to show that before we forget.
I have to
Tell
show
that
my
story.
friend. This is my emotional support bunny. Tommy gave her to me when I on my first day of radiation with a dozen roses. So sweet. And he said because he can't be at every one, he wanted me to bring. We call her Maddie for Madame Curie, and so I bring Maddie to every appointment, and they love her there They love her. So
it's important to have something. To have something with you. I think
it's fun.
Yeah, it's
fun.
psychological because you think of your husband because he gave that to
right.
you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So you better hang on to that.
I'm hanging on to Maddie for sure.
Now, do you feel like people could come to you now and that you could offer advice to folks?
I would hope they would. Yeah. I really hope they would. I know how blessed I am that I only need radiation and surgery. That is what I've gone through is nothing compared to what other people have gone through with their chemo. I mean, I can't express enough how it breaks my heart when someone says they have to go through chemo, and I can't say to them, I know how you feel, because I don't. However, if anybody needs to call me or talk to me or wants to get together or wants me to sit with them or anything, I'll be more than happy to.
Right, because your experience and just your sharing it today is having a huge impact.
Oh, I hope so. That's one of the reasons I came on, and I appreciate you asking me.
Oh, I appreciate having you. Is there anything I didn't ask that you'd want to put out there?
Oh, I'm trying to think. The support system is so huge. I have received other things that people have offered, which is neat. A friend of my sister's, Diane, made me a quilt.
Oh, nice.
It's just a lap quilt, which is nice. Little things like that. Food, people, of course, that's always great. Then my husband doesn't have to cook. So that was always
Is that good or bad?
That's good. No, I'm kidding. He actually is a good cook when he does. When he does.
Well, we appreciate you sharing your story.
Sure.
And coming out. We wish you the best of luck in the future.
Thank you so much.
You look great.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much. All right. Thank you so much.
All right, Cathi
Take care.
Ford. Thank you so much.
Bye.
And we just want to remind everybody again, it is Buddy Check Day to check for lumps in your breast. And of course, if you feel anything, something unusual, call your doctor right away. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.